Hello chess fans, today I want to show you the game between Aronian and Dominguez. And before we start with the game, there is something to say about the situation before. Aronian he has already qualified for the semifinal, and Dominguez had to yesterday he won the tiebreak against Wesley So. So this is a slightly advantage for Aronian because he had a free day, and Dominguez had to play yesterday 2 rapid games against a very experienced grandmaster Wesley So. So this is a little bit more easy. And you see also in the opening, you will see that Aronian is well prepared against Dominguez Queen's Gambit accepted. Okay, let's start. D4, D5, C4 takes C4. We have Queen's Gambit accepted. One of the main moves now, E4. And B5 now is a very modern line. There are other ways for black. For example, he can play the move knight goes to F6. This is one possibility. Or another possibility is to move E5. But he go for a very modern line, B5. Okay, now A4. To try to open up this pawns on the queen side. C6, A takes B5, C takes B5, knight C3. And I remember there was a game some years ago, and this was why this line was going popular, and they played A6. The idea was that white take the pawn here, and he is the exchange up. But at least this was, maybe not enough compensation for black. Yeah? And they find another nice move, Queen B6. And the idea is, the main move now is knight goes to D5 and attack the queen on B6. The queen has to move, Queen B7. Now we'll move Bishop F4. This is very straightforward. The idea is, of course, to check with the knight on C7. And, for example, there's only one move which is possible now for black. For example, a very bad move would be knight goes to A6 to prevent this. But here is this nice little tactic. The rook can take on A6, and you can't take back with the queen because here is a check. King goes somewhere, and you lose your queen. So this is not possible. The only move for black now is the move E5. Now comes bishop takes E5. And now it looks a little bit surprised, but black say, okay, I develop my pieces. It's simple. Next move is the bishop goes back to F4. Okay, here's also a nice little trick. Example, if white wouldn't play bishop F4, instead he played a check here, then the move when black move the king. And if white takes the rook on A8, here's here a nice check. And if you go with the king here, we have a very nice little checkmate on move 12. Okay, but of course Aronian sees this and he goes for the move bishop F4. Now Dominguez replied with the move knight to F6. We have now this check on C7. King goes to D8. And here is white an exchange up. This is very important, this intermediate move to get a pawn with check. F3. And the idea from F3 is that maybe you are ready for going to king F2, or you are ready if you move with the knight, that this queen can't. Of course, your plan is to move the knight and later to move the bishop, but then the problem is always that this pawn on G2 is hanging, and this move F3, is against this diagonal. Knight D5, a very nice centralization move from black. a check on g5. Ben Feingold says never play f6, but in this game, I think it's not the reason. Yeah. Of course, this move f6 with square on e6 is now very very bad. But we will see. Bishop goes back to d2. Normally, I like also the position from black, but there's one thing what I don't like. This is this king in the center. I don't like this king in the center because he already moved, so he is not ready for castling anymore. Yeah, this king must stay in the center for all the game. Yeah, and maybe this can be a problem because there are white have the two rooks and the queen, and it's a full board, and on a full board against with the king in the center, maybe not a so good idea. But let's take a look from the black side. What is good for black? Good for black is of course this pawn structure, b5 and c4. And you can argue that you have already one pawn for the exchange. The pawn on d4 can be a target. And the knight here on d5 on a very nice centralization square is also very good for black. Yeah, so black have compensation. And if you would think or imagine the next move, bishop d6 and rook goes on the open file e8, should be okay for black. Yeah, and of course from now white has to move the knight, he has to move the bishop to be ready for castle. This is about the situation in this game. Okay, bishop d6, developing move, knight goes to g3, queen b8. You see here this idea. So Levon goes for king f2. The rook goes on the open file. This is all very logical and, let's say, normal moves. The very funny thing about this line or about this game is the engine, as always, say it's totally equal, but you have to find every time the best move. Yeah. But you see it here, 0.0. Very funny. Bishop e2, developing. Bishop c7. Also okay, rook e1, and now you see the plan from Levon. He maybe not now, but later this would be an option to go with the king on g1, and then he already have castled. And in this position, Dominguez made the first move that the engine don't like so much, and he played the move bishop b6. You see the evaluation bar goes up for white. Okay, why? Okay, of course I can understand the idea from Dominguez. With the bishop on b6, he thought he can attack this pawn on d4. This is his idea. But there is a problem. We will see it later in the game, yeah. But better would be to play the move a6 to protect always this pawn on the a file, for that the queen is free. Because now the queen have to protect this pawn on a7, but if you play the move a6, the queen is free and can make other things. And you also have this power on this diagonal. But after bishop b6, this diagonal is not so much more powerful. Okay, king goes to g1. And the problem is, if you take here, if you catch the pawn, white goes king h1. And the problem is now that this d file is opened. The queen later goes on c2. Maybe rook come to the d file. You have to also protect your pawn on h7. And this gives white as an advantage. Dominguez decided to move knight goes to e5, king h1 from Aronian, and the idea is, of course, to go out of this diagonal. Knight c6, And here comes a very logical and good move from Aronian. Also a very typical idea to play against these pawns, the move b3, to open up these pawns. This is the idea. And you see here it's better for white. Nearly winning if you find the best moves. b3, c3, takes on b5, rook no, he played bishop d7, he don't played rook takes e5. And here was a very, yeah, okay, one moment. He took on e8, take back. Exactly, now we have this situation. Okay, now I want to show you the other thing. Okay, here Aronian made a mistake. He could go for a very, very direct line, yeah, and very straightforward moves. And this is also more easy to calculate because it starts with the following. First of all, he played the move bishop e1, but here he had the possibility to play bishop takes c6. Now black has, of course, to take the bishop again. Now you make the next move, nearly by tempo. And the thing is, if black takes the bishop, then you take back you catch one of these figures, because he play now bishop d takes d5, and now you have to see the following move. This is a little bit tricky. Of course, with the engine, it's not tricky. If you are a human, you think, okay, you would like to go for rook d1, but there is this knight on c3. But the engine say immediately, okay, but you can take the queen and go with queen d3. And after, for example, queen e5, you simply go for knight f5, and black can't protect this bishop on d4, and white is completely winning. And you also have to see about the situation here. It will be to an end game, and white is the exchange up. Black has no more pawn, so it's really completely winning. Yeah? But and he had also enough time. Yeah, this is what I didn't understand so much about him. But okay, he had more chances. Bishop goes to e1, and now Dominguez go for knight takes d4. Bishop takes e8. c2, queen d3, king e8, and here he had also one more winning opportunity. But it's really not easy to find. First of all, he played the move bishop d2. This is not the best. Okay, the winning move is knight e2, and this is very, very nice to see, because you see now the variation. Black needs to play queen e5. You take here on d4. Black takes back. And now you have this nice move, rook c1. If you make nothing, I take this pawn on c2. So, if black play the move bishop b2, now it's very nice and funny, because white have the possibility to play bishop g3. And he's winning, because in the next move, this pawn is lost. Not so easy to find, but he had so much time on the clock, and he didn't find the best move. Yeah, it's not so good. Yeah, for me, knight e2 would be one of my candidate moves. Yeah, because if you are white, you want to exchange, of course, more figures, because you are in exchange up. Okay, bishop d2. Now Dominguez finds the best move. He centralizes queen on e5. Rook c1. He also played now the best move, f5, what is the idea of f5? The idea is that you get control of his square on e4, because of course white wants to centralize his knight and bring it back in the game and activate this knight. But after f5, this is not more possible. Okay, there's one more thing to say. The game is still continuing, and we will see what happened. But let's go for the next moves. Queen c4 is played. Dominguez go for queen for knight e3. I'm sorry. Okay, and now you see also the evaluation bar. He give white a favor. Aronian could play queen g8 check and would win. Okay, let's go to this variation. What he missed. Okay, it's a check. Okay, the black king has to move. You give another check. Okay, this is very natural. King have to move. Okay, this move is also looks also very natural to me, because this queen protect the knight on on e3, and you don't have to go where to go with the queen, and you can't take on f4 because here is another check, and you see now the queen and the bishop, also two pieces on one pieces. This was, I would say, easy to find. Yeah, it's all forced and all by check. Yeah, we take another look to this line. Check, check. Okay, now you only have to see it's nice and little tactics. F4 and he win. Okay, but he missed it. What a pity. Okay, he played queen c8, but this can be win maybe as well. Okay, let's look. King f7, queen d2 check, king g6. Okay, and now he find this move f4. Queen e6, takes. Okay, now this is the position, and okay, I'm sure, of course, this game continue, but I'm sure maybe in 15 maximum in certain half hour, Aronian will win this game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I hope you enjoy my analysis. If you want, you can leave me a comment. Maybe I missed something or I don't explain something very good. Just let me know, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.